So with the second main topic down and out of the way, let's get into the third and final main topic for this particular podcast episode, which is going to be, drumroll please, the Chicago Red Stars have announced an expanded ownership group. So there was Twitter chatter months ago, I believe, from a few analysts and also from a few other journalists from around the country saying that the Chicago Red Stars were working on expanding their ownership group and that it would feature a lot of Chicago natives or people who are currently residing in Chicago, live in Chicago, and also a lot of big names that we would recognize. Well, on Monday, which was yesterday morning, I believe it was really early yesterday morning, they unveiled this new ownership group, and it's really, really exciting. I am really happy that the NWSL is getting more owners. More owners means more diverse perspectives. More diverse perspectives means more reach into the entire league and more money. So it's really, really exciting to see that the Chicago Red Stars are expanding it, and it's really cool to see too that not only are they investing in expanding their front office and their ownership group, but also in their players and teams. The Chicago Red Stars, as an organization, are really trying to become a powerhouse. They're investing in every single side of their club, and it's just excellent to see. I expect big things for the Chicago Red Stars going forward, not only on the field but off the field as well. So, having said all of that, who was added to the ownership group announced on Monday? I'm going to give you guys a little bit of information about each investor that I was able to find because you might not recognize a lot of some of the names on this list, which is one nitpick of mine. But anyways, without further ado, who was added to the list? So I want to be clear here. Arnim Whistler is still the majority owner of the team. He was the majority owner of the team before this new group was announced, and he is still currently the majority owner. And he's also one of the founding members, too, from all the way back in '07. So really exciting to see. Arnim Whistler does real estate and design of some kind. It's really weird for him being like such a big figure in the organization. He kind of flies under the radar, at least from what I was seeing, but that's neither here nor there. Next up, Israel Idadane. He was a Chicago Bears defensive end for a while. I believe he retired in 2014, if I'm not mistaken. He's originally from Nigeria. He is Nigerian Canadian, and he's also got a comic that he writes called The Protectors, which I thought was really fascinating. It's made a feature at Comic Con. I believe it was Comic Con in 2012, but I'll have to fact check myself later on that. So Israel Idanahe. I said his name wrong first, didn't I? His name is Israel Idanahe. Why do I have such a hard time saying his name? Israel Idanahe. That's it. Okay, I just got to slow down when I say his name. So, moving on next in the list, we have Kendall Coyne Schofield. For those of you who don't know who that is, she is an Olympic gold medalist, and she also plays for the United States women's national hockey team. So it's really cool here to see I guess, a counterpart within the United States overall sports landscape. It shows that these athletes are investing in each other, and it's cool that they support each other in everything they do in their adventures. And plus, one cool thing about Kendall Coyne Schofield, that I did not know earlier is that she is the Chicago Blackhawks development coach, which is really, really cool, or rather one of them. She was born in Illinois as well. She has also done some color commentating for different TV networks. So Kendall is a woman of all trades. She's done a lot of different things, which is really cool to see that diverse skill set. Oh, excuse me, guys. Next up on the list, Sarah Spain. Sarah Spain is an ESPN analyst. She has been a big advocate for the NWSL for a while now. I couldn't find much more information on her other than that she was an ESPN analyst and from what I've seen on her shows on ESPN. So if you're curious, feel free to do some research on your own. I feel bad because a lot of the research I did, I still could not find a ton of information on these people. So forgive me, guys, if my information is a little bit lacking. Next up on the list is Colleen Maris. I believe it's Maris, if I'm pronouncing it correctly. She is a music executive who manages a very high-profile rapper who's from, you guessed it, Chicago, Illinois. Who is that high-profile rapper? It is Chance the Rapper. She manages Chance the Rapper. She studied at Columbia University in Chicago. She's got roots there. And it's really cool to see someone from the music industry involved, so that's really exciting to see as well. It's just so cool that she manages Chance the Rapper. I was reading a little bit on her backstory in the article that I could find on her, and I highly recommend looking her up. It's really cool information. She's from Los Angeles originally, if I'm not mistaken. Next up on the list of new owners that were added include Julie Haddon. She is the senior. She is the senior vice president of marketing in the National Football League. That is the NFL. So again, another example of women supporting women. I couldn't really find any other information on her other than that, but she is on Twitter. For those of you who want to give her a follow, it's really really exciting stuff to see that. A lot of these big public figures are a little bit more visible in the public eye. Next up on the list is Marie Tillman. Marie Tillman is the chair and co-founder of the Pat Tillman Foundation. She's also the founder of Mac and Mia, which was a curated children's clothing service, which is located in Chicago, if I'm not mistaken. She's also an author, so she is a very big philanthropist in the community of Chicago, and it's really cool to see that she's extending that philanthropic reach by helping own the Chicago Red Stars. Again, another example of women supporting women, which is always excellent to see. Next up, we've got Michael Schofield, who is an NFL lineman for the Carolina Panthers. He is also from Illinois. If I'm not mistaken, I believe he is married to Kendall Coyne Schofield, which makes sense, right? Because Schofield last names. But he still plays in the NFL. I believe he just joined the Carolina Panthers this year. That's 2020. So, or actually, it's 2021 now. I keep forgetting the years change, but you know exactly what I mean. Next up on the list is Jesse Becker. Jesse Becker is the Senior Vice President of Marketing for Impossible Foods, which I believe is also located in Chicago, Illinois. So really, really cool. A lot of VPs of marketing joining this ownership group, which is something I noticed, which makes a ton of sense, right? Because you want marketing experts in order to help grow your brand. And if the Chicago Red Stars are going to keep expanding their reach and their brand, you're going to want very big marketing execs with that knowledge. So with them picking up Julie Haddon and also Jesse Becker, that definitely helps in that regard, in that aspect. And plus, when you've got the manager of Chance the Rapper, that could very well be perhaps a halftime show. Who knows? We can all wish and dream, right? Next up on the list is Brian Walsh. Brian Walsh is one of those examples where I could literally find nothing about him online in terms of social media, in terms of Googling, in terms of going on Bing. I tried it all. I could not find any more information on Brian Walsh. So if any of you know anything about Brian Walsh, feel free to put it down in the comments below. Next up, we have Kevin Willer, who is a partner and member of the Investments Committee of Chicago Investors. It's basically a giant funding agency that helps fund startups in the Chicagoland area. It basically, if I had to sum it up, it seems like he is a venture capitalist, which means he is very wealthy because he's invested in a lot of startups which has grown. It's kind of like basically picture the show Shark Tank if you've ever watched it, but in Chicago. That's what I picture when I picture Kevin Willer. Whether that's right or wrong, that remains to be seen. Moving on next is Jordan Levin, who is the general manager of Rooster Teeth. It is a Texas-based digital media and events company. It is very possible I could have the wrong Jordan Levin here because nothing in the info I found about him remotely mapped him to Chicago, which I thought was a little strange. So I could be wrong on that. If I've got the wrong Jordan Levin, please feel free to let me know down in the comments below. And then the last two include Abel Lescano. Abel Lescano is another example that I could not find anything about online. And then last we have Michael Raimondi. I believe he's a film producer, if I'm not mistaken. So we've got somebody in the film and TV industry as well. Actually, multiple people in the TV and film industry because Sarah Spain is, in fact, in the TV and radio industry. So with all of those owners, in addition, what does the complete ownership group now make up of? So we've got Arnhem Whistler, who's the majority owner and founding member. We've got Steve Ritchie, who is a founding member. We've got Dean Eggerter? Dean Eggerter, yep, he's also a founding member. Then we've got Jesse Becker, Julie Haddon, Israel Adonai, I said it right this time, Jordan Levin, Abel Iscano, Colleen Maris, Michael Raimondi, Kendall Coyne Schofield, Michael Schofield, Sarah Spain, Marie Tillman, Brian Walsh, Kevin Willer, and David M. Zapata. So that is the complete brand new ownership group of the Chicago Red Stars, which it's really excellent to see that we have a lot of minority owners and a lot of different and just one single group here. It's really cool to see that the NWSL's ownership groups are now being comprised of, instead of just one majority owner who takes over everything, we've got a lot of minority owners who add just a little bit of their perspective into the mix and help make the club overall better. So I like seeing larger ownership groups because more diverse crowds, bigger crowds, provide more perspectives overall and can help grow the club and diversify it a lot. So really exciting to see overall. what are some things I love about this group and what are some things I don't absolutely love about this group? What I love about this group, I've said it or I've alluded to it a couple times in the past 5 minutes. It's a lot of women supporting women. It's icing on the cake that one of the owners is a member of a fellow women's national team in the United States. That's Kendall Coyne Schofield with the United States national hockey team for the United States. Another thing I absolutely love about it is there's lots of Chicago representation. It shows that a lot of these owners have a vested interest in the communities that they operate in and want to truly improve it and make it better. And the next thing is that the group is pretty large. I basically just went into ad nauseum about that for a second ago, so I won't get into that much more. I will say the one thing I forgot to mention, I'm trying to see what percentage of the ownership group is now women. So one, two, three, four, five, six. So it's not quite majority female owned, but it's pretty close to it. So that's also really cool to see as well. Like I said, more backgrounds, more diversity is always a good thing. And also in this group, I'd say there's an adequate number of backgrounds. There's multiple nationalities represented. Israel Adonahey represents a background from Nigeria, and he's also part Canadian. And then also we've got American because we have a lot of American owners in this group. And the industries are far and wide. They're really vast. They go all the way from music to television to movies to digital media, venture capitalism, philanthropists, athletes, authors. There is such a wide variety of industries in this group. And like I said, those additional perspectives and those additional connections can really make a big difference in growing a franchise, especially in a big city like Chicago and with the NWSL continuing to grow and women's soccer in general continuing to grow. It can only help them from here on in. So I can't wait to see what this group does. It's going to be great. And the last good thing I really love about this group is that it still has 3 founding members that have been a part of this team for over a decade. It's really cool to see that they are adapting and changing with the times and expanding their group to include more people and getting the right people on top of it. It's clear that like I said earlier, it's clear that they're investing both on and off the field. They've invested a lot in the offseason, a lot of their trades, their pickup of Mallory Pugh, pickup of allocation money, their spending of allocate. They're making really smart moves to keep a really strong roster that they already had while also bolstering it with additional weapons. So it's really cool to see. And then also the investment off the field in the front office and their ownership group, building those connections around the country that they can use in order to grow their brand. It's really, really exciting to see. My excitement for the Chicago Red Stars is just through the roof if you can't tell already. So those are the things I absolutely loved about this ownership group. However, what are some things I don't like so much? In the articles leading up to this ownership group being revealed, it stated that a lot of the names would be really, really familiar to the general public. But if I'm being honest, I had to look up most of these people's names. That could just be because I live under a rock and I don't get out much. But it to me, it's a bit of a nitpick. But I was expecting to see like more really, really, really high profile people in this ownership group. That's no disrespect to the people that are in the ownership group because they are all extremely accomplished individuals who are very successful and are big names in their industries. It's just from a general public perspective, I was expecting just a little bit different, but there's nothing wrong with that. Like I said, I love this ownership group. This is just, like I said, me being somewhat critical of it. Another thing about this group that I don't particularly love, like I said earlier, I had to do a lot of research and dig up like multiple search engines, multiple social media platforms in order to find anything about each of these owners. And to me, that's a really big contradiction to the feel of the NWSL. Let me explain that a little bit further. So in the NWSL, the one thing I absolutely love, embrace, and notice with the league is that it is extremely, extremely accessible. They've got an app where you can watch all the highlights of their games. They've got stats. It's really easy to access information from the league. You can watch the draft on Twitch. You can interact with a lot of their players pretty easily. Their players don't have a ton of followers yet, so with that, you have a lot more visibility between you and them. If you make a post on Instagram about them, there's a decent likelihood that they'll see it, which is really, really cool. The NWSL is a very accessible league, and it's something that myself as a fan have really grown to deeply appreciate. And with all the players, the fans, the coaches being accessible, it would seem really strange that we'd have an ownership group in the league that wouldn't be as accessible. Maybe that'll change since a lot of these owners are now being part of this league, but it's just weird that we would have a ton of different owners who aren't necessarily as accessible to the fandom of the NWSL when all the players, coaches are to all of us. So that's just something interesting. I mean, that could obviously change over time. A lot of these people could, or a lot of these owners could end up getting more visible, and I think that would be in the best interest of the club if they did, because then we could get to know them as people and as owners. We could empathize with them, and then we would become more vested in the club overall. So I think it's to their benefit to become more visible. And who knows, new challenges, it grows you, you learn, and I expect the same will happen to this new ownership group. So that's something to keep our eyes peeled on in the future. Wow, that was probably one of the most exciting main topics I've done in a while. Guys, what do you make of the new Chicago Red Stars ownership group? Do you love it? Do you hate it? Do you have any good nitpicks? Do you have any good things that you love about it that I might not have talked about? Feel free to jump down in the comments below and let me know what you thought. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so with the end of the third and final main topic, that brings us to the end of the podcast episode. Once again, it's an awesome honor and privilege to have all of you supporting the channel each and every week, and I sure do greatly appreciate it. We're on audio, we're on TikTok, Instagram, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and on YouTube, of course, if you're watching this right now. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, follow us, whatever you feel like doing, or if you feel like doing none of it, that's all right too. So, to close off the episode, I've been Bryce. This has been the Women's Soccer / Football Podcast, and we'll see you next time. And as always, have a great day.